All right. Okay. It's 9 o'clock. So we call the meeting to order. So can you take roll, please?
Yeah, today we have Chair John Mende, Vice Chair Gary Mackler, Secretary Sean Sasaki, and Directors Melvin Kahele and Craig Hirai.
Okay, so we have a quorum. So item 2 over the minutes. So can I get a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from the meeting on May 12th?
So moved.
Thank you, Nate. Can I get a second? Second. Thanks, Sean. Any additions or deletions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to defer to the executive session minutes when we move to executive session in item 3B. So I'd like to move along to item 3A. So this is to approve a resolution number 168 expressing appreciation to Mel Kahele. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve.
Can I get a second? Thanks.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Chair Mindy. Good morning, board members. Denise Seri Matsubara, Executive Director for HHFDC. So the month marks the end of the term of our current longest serving board member, Mel Kahele. Wanted to express your appreciation for his service on the board for the past 8+ years. As an active board member, Director Kahele championed not only the interests of labor and Hawaii's workforce, but also that of the low-income community and the less fortunate. During his time on the board, the corporation accomplished some pretty significant things, including the sale of the 6 rental properties, which led to faster rehabilitation, long-term preservation of over 1,200 units, the financing of nearly 80 projects that will add over 7,000 units to the state's inventory of affordable housing. And the chair could always count on Mel for a timely motion to move things along. And this was especially helpful when the pandemic forced us to shift to virtual.
Because it was existing school and then show up and then so this is
For your many years of public service and stalwart support of housing and HHFDC. Mahalo. Thank you for your fair and balanced approach to all the issues and doing what is right for affordable housing in Hawaii. Sure are going. And board members, we are very honored to have with us this morning Governor David Ige, who would like to express his appreciation to Mel for his service on the board. Governor?
Thank you all for allowing me to be part of today's meeting. I did want to express my appreciation to Mel. As Denise had said, he is the longest serving member. He got on just before I became governor, and he has really served the public well. We have changed dramatically how HHFDC operates and have really focused on delivering affordable rentals, especially for our community. And we've just seen a tremendous improvement in the legislature's perspective of HHFDC and how HHFDC is contributing to meeting the demanding affordable housing needs in our community. So on behalf of the people of Hawaii, I just wanted to express my appreciation to Mel Kahele for his service and on the board. You know, his expertise, his leadership, his balanced approach has really made a difference. And I really did want the opportunity to express my appreciation for the service. Thanks. Oh, I wasn't.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
this way.
Wait, so you're gonna announce it, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Trust it. Free TV, my friend. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. So we can have some a little more time to take some photos and whatnot. We're going to take a short break. Thank you. Congratulations.
Sandy, Gary.
Many members say the riot was a coordinated effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election. And playing that video
Got it. Okay, all right, so now it's just the right moves and stuff. All right, let me go into it. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, I'd like to reconvene. So anything else to time? 9:14.
And you want to acknowledge who joined the other board members?
Yeah,
that joined us?
Yeah, and just for the record, just wanted to acknowledge Director Nasser and McCartney has joined the meeting online. Yeah.
Does she have to announce anything? Does she have anybody she wants to announce?
And John Rapun from Wahole.
Oh, and Director Nasser, is there anyone at your physical location that you want to report that will be attending the meeting?
There's no one at my physical location.
Okay, thank you. All right. Governor, did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to just take a minute to thank all of you for the hard work. As you know, this was a really successful session, especially focused on housing in general. As you know, $300 million the legislature had committed to accelerating. I do think it's a direct response to the success that HHFDC has had over this term that Mel has been here. And just the dramatic difference in changing policies, procedures, looking at supporting production and really being focused on evaluating and moving affordable rental projects and other affordable projects is really evident. So I wanted to personally express my appreciation to all of your work. Hard work, I know it takes a lot of time, but clearly the legislature and the people of the state of Hawaii will benefit from the work. We've made tremendous progress and we certainly would like to see that continue. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Governor. All right, thank you. Moving on to item 3B. And this is a discussion on a policy and strategy for lease rent renegotiations for the Waihole Valley Agricultural Park and residential lot subdivision located in Waihole Valley, Waihole Ho'olaupoku, Oahu, TNK 148 various. Can I get a motion, please?
I did no motion.
Oh, it's a discussion, sorry. And so before we have any before the staff comments, is there anyone that wants to testify on this item? Yeah.
Explain the rules, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. Anyone wishing to provide oral testimony should indicate that to the chair. Oral testimony will be limited to 3 minutes, subject to the discretion of the chair. And your oral testimony must be on a matter that is on the board agenda. Therefore, as you begin your oral testimony, you should identify yourself and spell your name for the record. After 3 minutes, I will call time. You will have another 15 seconds to conclude your testimony. Please note that this opportunity is for you to communicate your concerns to us. If you ask questions during your oral testimony, neither the board nor staff is required to respond or answer your questions. Finally, for anyone wishing to submit written testimony, instructions for doing so are on the front page of the agenda under the section entitled Public Testimony. Thank you for your cooperation in this matter.
Thank you, Francis. And I also want to thank people or members of the public who already have submitted their written testimony. And real quick, I just want to thank Mel for everything. And, it was a pleasure working with him. And, thank you for teaching me a lot. All right, so I guess I'll go here in the room and then I'll go to the web for a second. You want to come up here and could you please state your name for the record and what agenda item?
We're Waihole leaseholders. My name is Katie Kamalani.
You can sit down, yeah, please.
It's spelled K-E-T-I. It's my first name, last name Kamalani, K-A-M-A-L-A-N-I. I've just come to, may I go ahead and speak?
Yes.
I've just come to ask you to remember that there's also a thing called affordable agriculture. That those that are actively using their land are putting everything they've got into it, knowing that it's a temporary moment in time that our grandchildren will not inherit. We're asking that you consider this when you decide the way you're going to go forward in lease rents, and that you do not penalize the people who are actively giving everything they've got. We know everyone's struggling, but there should be affordable agriculture in Waipoe. We are a unique place, and we ask for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else? Nope. Okay, I will go online. Is there anyone online? I guess signify by raising your hand. Is there you can do that, right? Is there anyone want to submit any public testimony for this agendized item? Okay, I guess it's seeing none. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your testimony. So I guess Chris, you want to start and then?
Yeah. Okay. I'll actually start by apologizing for the temperature in here. Located the key for the thermostat last month and then never used it, so I just turned it down. I'm going to go over a little bit of background quickly for everyone just to refresh our collective memory, and then I will ask that before we go into executive session, I understand that we have community members that are watching the meeting online, and that's a little frustrating, but it's something that we have to do. So I'll get started. HHFDC owns 122 lots in the subdivision, Vital Lake, totaling about 600 acres. That was purchased from Elizabeth Marks in 1977. About 100 acres came to us via GLNR in 1993. After the initial acquisition, we made improvements, roads, drainage, the potable water system. And we have 93 long-term ground leases there. About 50 residential and over 20 agricultural, 2 commercial lots on Kent Highway. They all expire in 2053. There is a 20-year basically extension option. And they're generally not financeable with back mortgage debt. They function more like long-term use permits. Residential lots, there's 64 of them, average size about a half acre. Average monthly rent currently is $119. Ag lots vary considerably in their size and other characteristics, but the average size is 8 acres. And the average base rent per month for those lots is $110. The ag leases also contain a percentage rent provision, and there's a table on page 4 that shows you receipts under the percentage rent provision. Commercial lots, I mentioned there are 2 of them. Most people probably know the Waipoe Sports Factory lot. They pay $160 a month plus percentage rent. And there's what used to be a farm stand right next to it. It hasn't been occupied for many years. That's at the agricultural lots rent at $100 per acre per year. And that's a little over $2 a month. Under these long-term ground leases, we're required, lessor and lessee are required to renegotiate the rent for the next 15 years, beginning next June. Leases also stipulate that we start that negotiation this June. And should the parties fail to reach resolution, the dispute resolution mechanism in all cases is arbitration. We had embarked on a strategic planning process a few years back. And I will say it's been, we ran into problems, pandemic problems, right? The ability to meet in person. So that really is an open item. I just wanted to mention, we do have other issues in the valley that we need to resolve in addition to the lease rent. We did make a presentation about this matter at a October 2020 meeting, the White County Community Association. We held our own virtual community meeting last year. The Community Association has engaged a law firm about a 1.5 years ago, and we've engaged through a special deputy attorney general contract, the law firm of Bayes, Long, Rose, and Boss. This is the third time we're talking about this at HHFDC with the board. We'd like to formalize our policy and procedures on how we're going to approach the lease rent renegotiations. And then the strategy refers to we need to make a decision on where we'd like to see the final outcome and how we're going to get there, how we think we're going to get there. So unfortunately, that's a matter that the board needs to discuss in private. It's a negotiation. Again, we're required to start this process this month. We did outreach to the community to let them know we were holding this meeting today. We're planning to hold a special board meeting later in the month. Planning to have a meeting in the community after that. And first week of July, we should be getting out written lease rent offers to everyone. That's the plan. So that said, Chair, I think we should go into executive session. Unless.
All right, can I?
Mr. Chair, at the staff recommendation, I recommend we go into executive session for the purposes of refining the board strategy for White County leases.
All right, thanks. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Mel. I have to read this one. No, okay.
So I just want
All
to
in
thank
favor?
everybody for coming
Oh, yeah.
coming here today. And Chris, thank you for working with everyone.
All right, thanks, Mike. All in favor?
Don, before you start,
Yes.
just want to reiterate, we're going to have a meeting in Whitehall later in the month. It'll be less structured than this one, and there'll be a lot more ability to participate in the discussion. Just the way that we're set up and have to do things, we do have to do a lot of this in executive session. So I just want everyone to understand we will have that public meeting. And it will be a different forum and a better forum for communication.
And then please correct me if I'm wrong, but just to disclose to everyone that we have to go through this process, just as the community needs to define among itself what its strategy is and position. The same with us, and so we have to represent the state's interest in this, and that's what our meeting is today, so that we can have a good faith negotiations with the parties, and that's our intention. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So all in favor of going to the executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, so I think we need to clear the room.
Unless you're worried about it.
I do with all of them.
Yeah. See you later in the month.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Sorry, I just came back from the bathroom. I was working with Jeff.
Wait, no, we're not.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We're back in regular session. Just wanted to say something about the executive session?
Yeah, so, we just wanted to review the next, steps. The board is gonna hold a special meeting on, June 23rd to, approve a policy relating to the negotiations, the revenue negotiations, and also a strategy. And we will hold a community meeting, the week after that, and we'll try to schedule that as soon as possible. That meeting will be most likely at the school and in the evening. So more information to come on that.
You have a tentative date for that meeting?
It'll be the week 6th, but
Okay.
we'll schedule it soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, moving on to item 3C. So this for action is to approve the following actions relating to the request for proposals for number 22-005-REC Kulia Ika Nu'u Mixed Use Rental Housing Project Restructuring and Preservation. One, to award Catholic Charities Hawaii as successor offer. And two, to authorize the executive director to negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement, ground lease, regulatory agreement, and other related transaction documents with successful offer and to undertake any actions related to. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Mel. A second?
Sure, okay. So we thought we were gonna take this one out of order.
Oh,
Oh.
To the
So,
bottom.
I don't have anything here for it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Also, we want to
So we
get
go to the
Catholic
next
Charities
one.
in.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right, all
sorry
right.
about
So we'll defer that till the end.
Okay, thanks.
Let's move to item 4D then. This is to approve the consolidated plan, annual action plan for program year 2022-2023. Can I get a motion, please? Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Sean.
Chris?
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. My name is Carrie Puga. This for action seeks your approval of the 2022 annual action plan covering the period from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, and authorization for the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to submit and implement the action plan. Plan covers HUD's home program, the Housing Trust Fund program, the Emergency Solutions Grant program, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS program. The intent of these federal programs is to strengthen communities and provide decent, affordable housing for families and special needs populations. Annually, HHFDC rotates its home funds between the 3 neighbor island counties. For 2022, HHFDC will receive $3,039,000 in home funds and will award the funds to the county next year. The county of Kauai will use the 2022 home funds toward the development of affordable rental units for families and increasing home ownership units. The home program requires that 15% of the allocation be set aside for a community housing development organization or a total. The County of Kauai plans to use its total funds toward a home buyer activity. Plan allocation of program year 2022 home funds is shown in the table at the bottom of page 2 of the board report. The Homeless Programs Office of the State's Department of Human Services administers the ESG and HOPWA program. DHS will receive $452,605 in ESG funds, which will be used for homelessness prevention, rapid rehousing, and emergency shelter operations activities. Under the HOPWA program, DHS will receive $282,828, which will be used for providing financial assistance and services to individuals with HIV or AIDS for homeless and at-risk homelessness. ESG and HAPO allocation and activities are shown in the table on page 3. Under the National Housing Trust Fund Program, HHFDC will receive an allocation of $3,744,423, which will be used for rental housing for extremely low income families at a 30% area median income level. The County of Kauai will use this allocation for the production or preservation of affordable rental units. The table on page 4 shows the 2022 Housing Trust Fund allocation. The state's program year 2022 annual action plan focuses on the allocation of funds by activity type and objective instead of specific projects, which may be referenced in the County of Kauai's program year 2022 annual action plan. The program year 2022 draft annual action plan was subject to a 30-day comment period, and we received no comments. The action plan is also an application for home HTF, ESG, and HAPO fund due to HUD by July 16th, which is 60 days after the actual allocation amounts were announced. If approved, we anticipate submitting the action next week. That concludes this presentation.
Thank you, Carrie. Any questions from the board? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 3E. So this is to approve and award of federal and state low-income housing tax credits from the state's 2022 volume cap to Hale Pilina Family, located in Kahului, Maui, TMK 237013 and 026, and 2 Kai Olino, located in Eleele, Kauai, TMK 421010062. Can I get a motion, please? Okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mel.
Well, distinguished members, Chair, again, Melvin, yeah, congratulations. Thank you for your service. Very much appreciated. Thank you for the opportunity to present. What I'd like to start off with is we did have quite a few 20B applications. We are awarding 9% here. And when we do this, we must evaluate projects. And what we want to do is to minimize, right, the amount of 9% awarded. So efficiency is of utmost importance. Our annual per capita limit that was provided this past year is $2.50 approximately, and it was a decrease. So, you know, it was something that we had to address. Now, projects are awarded and based upon not only the individual underwriting, but it's from the qualified allocation plan and our consolidated financing application. So the applications that we find and merit award are, they have the highest aggregate low-income housing tax credit criteria score. They have the highest criteria score for project readiness. Also, they're leveraging, they're not requesting rental housing revolving fund resources, which is a limited state resource. Okay, the project amenities, services, and quality also very highly rated, and Section 8 project-based vouchers from the County of Hawaii. Secondly, we have Hale Pilina. This is Hale Pilina Family 1. This was the third highest, and it scored not only for its project location, but also for its use of rental housing revolving fund, as I mentioned, which is limited, and for its readiness, as well as it does have an Afford Housing Fund award from the County of Maui. There's a totality between the two. Kyle Lino, 46 units. They are asking for approximately $2 million in federal and state low-income housing tax credits. And Halekulina is 88 units, and they're asking for approximately 1.8 units. And what I would, and staff does suggest, is that the board of directors approve the award requested for not only the federal, but also the state for the two projects as mentioned, Kyle Lino, as well as Halekulina, as specified in subsection E, exhibits E and H of the for action. We do have developers available, and I think they'd also like to present and allow for any questions should you have.
Thank you, Chris. Before I ask for any comments or before the presentations, I forgot to ask if there's anyone here to deliver any public testimony on items actually D and E. If there's anyone here in the audience. If not, is there anyone online? Nope. All right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if we could go through the presentations and then we'll have comments from the board. Can you please state your name for the record?
Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, we like.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members. My name is Joelle Chu, and I'm with the Apple Group. Makani Ma'eva sends her apologies, but she is on a long-awaited, well-deserved first family vacation post-COVID. So she's not here today, but I'm here available to answer any questions. I think we put together a little slideshow for you of some of the basics of the project. We are calling it Biolino Apartments. Jason's slide. So I know a lot of you know us. Some of you are new. Makani has been in the business for almost 30 years now. I've been with her for 15 going on. She founded AHE Group, which is specific to Hawaii, back in 2014. We own properties, almost 2,000 units with over 4,500 residents. This will be, I didn't put this in there, but this is going to be our 7th LIHTC project on Kauai. And we found great success in partnering with all of the government and other partners on Kauai. So if you have any questions, there's probably more in the for action about our background, but we're very active, very experienced LIHTC developers. So this project, Biolino, is in LA Port Allen. You can see in the highlighted there in the yellow is where the 48 units are going to be. It overlooks, it's on a sloped lot, it overlooks the Port Allen Harbor there. And this is part of what was originally a much larger development. You can see the 60 single family homes were built back in about, I think they were completed in about 2010. The seller that we bought the land from was in master plan this. The homes, the smaller ones on the top left, that's actually public housing. And the top right, the two large roofs there are retail space. If you're familiar with Kauai, a lot of the North Shore tours now take off from this Port Allen area. So it's a very active area. When I know we always talk about income integration, we do have the public housing, we have the single family homes that were built as moderate worker homes for working individuals. And then this year is going to be the final chapter. What happened was so saying the bluff, this was originally planned as for sale market condominiums. And the seller, the previous seller owner had fully entitled and actually had building permits. So, and then you all may recall that 2008 came and they decided to abandon the project. And so they've been holding onto this land for that long, but there were already entitlements and drawing plans. So the land is actually currently vacant, but the infrastructure goes all the way up to the boundaries of the land. So all of the stuff, the utility stuff is stubbed right up to the edge. So when we start, we can really just hit the ground running. That's the beauty of this particular project. We believe in it so much, we purchased the land in November of 2020. So we have some real skin in the game. We've been servicing the debt, and we are committed. I'm applying for tax credits. We didn't get awarded last year, but since then we have not stopped. We've completed the design. We actually have and a construction contract in hand. We've gone back to the planning department, and they, we've submitted to the staff a letter confirming that we have all of the discretionary authorizations are complete and we're ready to go. So of course it's in an SMA area. We have SMA approval. The zoning is consistent. This really is the most shovel-ready project that I've actually been involved in.
That's good.
So this is a little bit about the project. I don't need to bore you, but it's in your for action project summary. But like I said, 2 new buildings, 61 years. It's going to be a $34 million project, 48 units, and we're pretty excited about the depth of the AMIs that we're covering. We're going all the way down to 30%, 40%, and 60%. We also have 4 units set aside for homeless or people at risk of homelessness. Our previous project that we actually just got certificates of occupancy and have filled, Kualoke, which is in Lihue, we have those similar set aside units, and we are finding great success. And by that time we have people move in here, we'll actually have a very complete system of supporting these four units. So we're very excited about that. The project in Lihue, actually right across the street, the county has built transitional homeless housing. And so what they're doing now is they have residents that come off the street, go into that housing, and we've had quite a number of them now move across the street to the LIHTC. So when you talk about, an array of housing opportunities, then, this is exactly what we're talking about here. They can move maybe from Lihue into this project also. The county does also have another project, Lima Ola, that we are involved with. And Lima Ola is going to have that same type of homeless transitional housing. Lima Ola is very near this project. And so we hope to have that same synergistic relationship with those units that are transitional, I think they call it permanent supportive housing, over to a LIHTC project, which is more permanent in nature. As Chris mentioned, our request is about $2 million. You can see it there. We're doing this in phases. So it was originally planned with these 3 buildings, building A, B, and C. We've decided to carve out the first 2 for financing purposes and construction purposes. We're going to do A and B as phase 1. Building C, we have committed to the county of Kauai that will also be affordable housing. The county always likes to discuss, maybe not a LIHTC project, maybe for sale affordable condos. So we don't have a definite plan yet. I think the staff asked me, well, is this going to be LIHTC at some point? And we don't know, but we do know that it will be. So status of this, we do have, the county of Kauai is very good at leveraging their funds. So they've committed $500,000 of their housing development fund. We have applied and been awarded Section 8 contract, project-based Section 8 contract for 25% of the units. Again, we have building permits. We did have to take the existing plans because they were from 2008 and bring them up to current code. It was a market rate project, so we changed a little bit of things, but if you know our product, we do a lot of, market rate finishes. And so we didn't change that kind of thing, just a little bit of the design. It didn't need a third floor loft, you know. We did a few more things. That no longer has a pool, but it does still have an outside entertainment cabana, you know, a management office. I think I said the other day, construction is estimated to begin this fall. I mean, we really are ready to go. We do have a construction contract. The property, and Gary might be able to tell you because he's a Kauai resident, but it's actually already been graded, and there's some infrastructure, like the parking lot has been paved. I mean, we're going to have to fix it because over the years there's been some plants that have been growing out, but it's
Retaining walls.
retaining walls have already been built. You know, I mean, it is really, we got so excited about this because again, it really is the most shovel-ready project I've been. And you know, our vision, I think I've said it a couple of times, that vacant under use since 2008. It's been ready to go, and we're picking up the reins. You know, new construction units, which is in furtherance of the governor's 3,000 unit goal. We have the 4 units for the home permanent housing for the homeless, and our range of incomes. And every project that we've done on Kauai has been LEED certified. Certainly, that is our plan for this one. So I think there's another pretty picture. It probably won't be as this is an older rendering. We didn't spend our new money on pretty renderings. I think it would be the landscaping might be a little more modest than this, but this is generally what it looks like. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. But thank you for this opportunity. We are really, really excited about this.
All right, thank
Very
you.
much appreciate that. Thank you for that thorough staff. We worked with you in conjunction. Staff does support allocating approximately $2 million in annual federal and local housing tax credits. I would like to note that the total fees paid on this shall not be exceeding any close to $3.5 million. Okay.
All right, thank you. Congratulations.
Just on a general question, just out of curiosity, what did you guys buy the last one?
We bought it for Mandy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Mandy was the original developer.
Okay. And then about how much is a square foot? I'm giving all the whole new construction. I just curiosity or not. It's 34 million, yeah.
It is for the construction, the building construction, 294.45 was our cost per square foot.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
it's not
think,
bad.
I mean, not to toot our own horn, and although that's what I guess I'm supposed to be up here doing. You know, we have so much experience on Kauai right now. Our construction pricing is based on actual recent construction. So we end up feeling really good about where we're at there because we just finished, right? We just finished Waimea. Before that, we finished Kualoke. So all within the last 2 years, real construction.
And staff does support. And, again, thank you for working with us. And thank you for asking questions. And so if you have any further questions, please feel free to ask now.
Does anybody have? Regarding this project, is there? I mean, I don't. No, okay. There someone from Pilina?
Oh, yes. So Honolulu, you have both Jeff, but also Andrew. And yes, work with them closely as well. They're going to present their project. Thanks for your patience with this. We're trying a different model whereby which developers are able to. So thank you.
Morning, board. My name is Jeff Root, I'm project coordinator of the Holiday Family Affordable Project. Before I start, I want to thank the board and the HHFDC staff members for having us here today to share Catholic Charities Housing Development Corporation's project. Our nonprofit developer is Catholic Charities Housing Development Corporation. Michael Margawai is the president. Our development consultant will be GSF LLC. And our planner, Minister Hirata, has helped us through the entitlement process, wetlands and processing model. Architect and engineer is MNA Hawaii. Our general contractor and property manager, both located on Maui, are Augustine Brothers Incorporated and Maui. You can see from this slide, the property is outlined in yellow, and it's in the heart of Honolulu. Nearby are many conveniences that the residents will enjoy. If you look kind of to the left, that property in red.
Would you mind speaking up a little louder, please?
That
Thank you.
property in red is our recently completed Kahului Lani project, which is a senior affordable project, also done by Catholic Charities Corporation. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and you can see the projects right here in blue. It's bounded by South Benene Avenue and Kalawahine Street. Kalawahine Street will be the main access to the project. There will be an access on South Benene, but for mitigation purposes, we're going to keep it on Kalawahine. And just by looking at this slide, you can see how convenient the location is. There's surrounding shopping centers. We have a drugstore nearby, restaurants, banks, pools, etc. All again within walking distance, basically across the street. The project is also going to be located on the bus line, so anybody that needs further transportation that might not have a vehicle. Next, the pictures are some pictures of the existing project site. First one is from South Benene Avenue, looking into the site. And the second one is from Kalawahine Street. Again, this is where that main access is going. Quick project overview. I think most of the details are in the for action, but we're planning phase one to include 2 buildings, 3-story each. There'll be a total of 88 1- and 2-bedroom units. Each building will have an elevator and laundry rooms for the residents. They'll have parking and then access to a multi-purpose room as well as a private park. And we'll be having a on-site resident manager as well. Our target market is 60% EMI and below. Here's our proposed site plan. The black dashed line running down the middle, that's our demarcation line. Phase 1 will be the purple buildings on the right, and our future phase 2 are the blue buildings on the left. The bottom right, you can see the private park there. Building elevation to give you an idea of what a completed building is going to look like. And our architect's rendering. This is taken from inside the parking lot, facing South Benene Avenue. The building on the left is our building A, which is the building that will have our resident manager housing. And the building that you're facing is the future building D for phase 2. Our financing stack consists of HHFDC developers equity. We're getting assistance from Maui County in the form of the Affordable Housing Fund, as well as housing credits. First Hawaiian Bank will be taking care of our interim and permanent financing, and Hawaii Housing Finance will be our tax credit syndicator. Most importantly, we're going to need HHFDC financing in the form of federal and state low-income housing tax credits and our rental housing revolving fund loan. Based on our budget and our performance, we're confident that we'll be able to pay off the loan in its maturity date, and we're also comfortable with the terms of the rental housing revolving fund loan. For project timeline, we have our 2.97 in place, and that's a Maui version of the 201 on the beach. Again, we'll get around to walk us through that. The project also received unanimous support from the Maui County Council when we went through the approval process, and was well received by the Planning Commission as well as the Urban Design Review Board. So if we hopefully get financing or approval on financing this year, we're very confident that we can start construction in the first half of next year, 2023, and we can finish construction in the second half of 2024, as well as start up our occupancy. As far as rentals go, we're very confident that we can fill these units. Just based on the market report and the rental of our Kahului Lani project, those 2 buildings each rented out within 6 months. They're both currently 100% occupied, and both buildings have a waiting list of over 300 people. So again, the demand is very, very strong for these units. Thank you. Very brief. So we're here for questions. Michael Mako, I wanted to be here today to say a few words on the project, but he got called into another meeting, but Board Member Pahela, he wanted to congratulate you.
Jeff, this is, excuse me, this is Michael Mago. I just finished my meeting with the city. Sorry to butt in, but I just wanted to say, Mel, well deserved for serving on the board as a volunteer. Really appreciate all your service. I know it's many years you've been working hard, and also hats off to the board for all their due diligence, and to Director McCarthy and Chris Hurai. Anyway, thank you very much for having us presented today. And right now, our mission at Catholic Charity is to keep on building more housing. So, but again, thank you very much. Mahalo.
I also saw Rob Bentassi's name pop up on the screen just now, but he's also in attendance, president of Catholic Charities Hawaii.
I will extend appreciation and gratitude to the members of the board and to the team, the staff that does all the work as well, and to Executive Director Denise Iseri Matsubara as well. We're very appreciative of all the time and effort that goes into this, and we're very, very proud of this project and the relationships that we have on Maui. I think it will make it very strong. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Without further, I would respectively ask on behalf of staff, as well as developer, the allocation of up to approximately $1.8 million in federal 9%, as well as state low-income housing tax credits, and then also authorize the executive director to undertake any task necessary to effectuate the purposes of set for action. And thank you again for your consideration.
Do you want to note for the record, there are two dates that have to be clarified on the terms of the award? I can go through them for you. Would you like me to?
Yes.
Okay, so board, I just want to direct and the developers that Exhibit F of the for action, the conditions of the low income housing tax credit award, items 11 and 13 have the wrong year. So the good faith deposit is due on June 30, 2022. And the consolidated act should have been stated, the reference should be dated February 17, 2022. Is that correct, staff? Thank you.
Right.
No, thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, with those amendments, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a question for staff, Chris. My question is not as to the merits of the individual projects. I'm certain that they're all quality projects that we're looking at for 9% awards. My question goes to process. Looking at the for action, the QAP criteria point system, we have a project that had an aggregate, second highest aggregate score. That's the Halio PEKA 2 project, which received 93.63 points to come in second highest. And you folks have in the for action indicated there were relevant factors for not recommending this project for a 9% award. And you mentioned project readiness being one of those, which has to do with an amendment to an SMA permit, and then also a below average, I guess, score on the rental housing revolving fund criteria. Could you elaborate more about why this project was not recommended for a 9% award?
Thank you for the opportunity. I do believe we have individuals that represent the project in the world. What we do is, first and foremost, the 9% credits are limited. Okay? Unlike the 4% credits, the 9% are specific and they are provided by the federal government. So when we looked at the awards, it was our opportunity to say, and we did speak with the developer and say, okay, you applied for a 9% as well as a 4% low-income housing tax credit award. And if we were to have awarded you a 9%, would you be able to perform within 2 years as requisite?
Yes.
And we're working with the developer, and they had mentioned that, you know what, perhaps if you would award me a 4%, which doesn't have that same time limit, it would work better for them. Now, I believe they're here in the room to speak. Mr. Watson, and yes, so we worked it out with them, and yeah, although the scoring may not show it, what we've done is we've been thoroughly working with developers to see how best to effectuate not only their projects, but also the state resources and the monies expended.
Okay.
Director Macker and the rest of the board, I think we're gonna let that to clarify.
Okay. Okay.
So, thank you very much for the opportunity. So, I know one of the exhibits, Exhibit 8 in the 4 actually does reference the application scoring summary that does show the total based on the 18 criteria that we have. And what staff has done within those criteria is taken the individual factors within each of those criteria and examined each one on its own merit and actually regroup them into different categories based on readiness, feasibility, and then we separate those scores and evaluate each of the factors within the criteria on its own. Although the 18 criteria factor scores do look close when aggregated this way, our evaluation went to a second level below that, in which case, we feel that the recommendation of the 2 projects we are recommending based on all the factors, including project readiness and use of resources, that we awarded the 2 projects most deserving of the award.
The board members, if I could just turn your attention to page 3. It does indicate under item B, point system are an important component. The point system alone is not the sole determining factor for the award. There are a lot of other factors, efficiency and use of the resources, which is another layer of analysis that the staff does. And they look at that, the amount of time and how much is payback, the percentage that is payback at year 55. And so for those projects that have little to no payback at year 55, so that funds can revolve, of course, the scoring will not be as high as compared to those projects that actually revolve the funds. So those are some of the significant other relevant factors that we're taking into consideration.
Okay. Yeah, and I do recognize that there were a number of projects that applied in the last consolidated application that asked for both 9% and 4%.
Yes.
And so, where do they fit under the respective timelines? I understand that's vital.
Right.
So I appreciate your, giving us more
really
information.
It's owed to not only the staff, but working with developers and in conjunction with them, and being confident that they're able to produce the units that they are positing, and we are confident that they are, because we're not looking for extensions, we're not looking for any of that. All right, so yeah. Okay, thank you.
And one more factor of board members, just as a reminder, on the 9% life tech, we have a strict 24-month placement service deadline. So
yeah,
partly board member too, that's one of the important factors.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? If not, all in favor?
Wait, sorry, can I ask one quick question?
Sure,
I'm just
go
trying to
ahead.
understand. It's just a really basic one. So I see the discussion under B that the point system isn't the only component in the project ranking. In general, are you folks trying to put some of these other considerations into that appendix, into that scoring summary sheet, or do you want it to be just separate considerations that complement this? I'm just trying to understand why there's some things in the application scoring summary that actually get scores, and then why there's these other considerations. Is it just hard to quantify the other considerations?
Thank you for the question, Director. So all of those factors that he mentioned are already part of the criteria. It is
Okay.
public criteria for evaluation. And one of the points of suggestion is maybe how do we include that summary somehow in this as well? So, going forward, I think we have to look at it. The fact that it's being used is already part of the published criteria.
Okay.
The process.
Okay, thanks, Chair. That's it for me.
Thanks a lot. If nothing from anybody else, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 3F. This is to adopt the approved and rejected list for the rental housing revolving fund project awards for the fiscal year 2022 funding round. Can I get a motion, please? Motion. Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gary. Is there any public testimony for this item? Anyone here present? Anyone online? Hearing none, okay. Moving forward. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much again for the opportunity. Staff recommends the adoption of the approved and rejected list of rental housing revolving fund loans for fiscal year 2022. As you can see, as per item F and enumerated is in the entirety, we did have 20 applications and they all actually met the threshold except for, unfortunately, Front Street Apartments, and that's due to a failure in site control. It's a matter that's under litigation, and per the qualified allocation plan, it's under discussion. So the recommendation on behalf of the staff is that the board of directors approve as positive the funding year 2022 rental housing revolving fund award project list, and this would be in conjunction with the projects that were already awarded. And all awards are subject to the availability of rental housing revolving fund program. Okay.
Okay. All right, any questions from the board?
Board members, Chair, if I could just clarify, this is just the eligibility list.
Right.
It's not
An award.
An award, yeah. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah.
All right. No questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried, thank you. Moving on to item 3G. This is to approve a rental housing revolving fund project award for the Ali Pilina Family Project 1 project located in Kahului, Maui, TMK 237-013-026. Can I get a motion, please? Motion. Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second? Second. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Dan.
Oh, wait, hang on. Is there any public testimony for this item? Any here? Any online? No? Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you again for the opportunity. This is in conjunction with what was previously approved under item E. That is the request for Ali Pilina. As you know, the capital stack and the way that these projects are structured, they do require additional subsidies. The rental housing revolving fund is one of these subsidies, and this project we find and staff recommends that you approve said monies. It's 17 million. Again, the project's 89 units. The interest rate is 25 basis points. Do note though, the origination fee is 50 basis points. This is new. It hasn't been done before. So we are confident that this is going to help not only the continuation of said projects, but also our underwriting of said projects. The repayment is 90% of the available cash flow which I would like to note is of utmost. And then I have with us again, Gary, as well as I have both Jeff and so if there are any questions, but otherwise staff, we are in strong recommendation of this. And this is in conjunction with the award previously presented. This project is very strong, 89 units at 60% AMI and below. So with that being said, yeah, staff wraps, everyone's available for questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 3H. This is to approve an extension to resolution 136, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Ulome multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for Kai Ulu o Kapiolani project located in Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 324-025-048, 053, and 080. Can I get a motion, please? Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks. Is there any public testimony for this item? None here. Any online? Hearing none. Thank you. Go ahead.
Morning, Chair, fellow board members. So again, this is to request the extension of the HMLF bond issuance deadline on this project. This is the third extension request for this project. They are requesting an extension to June 30th, 2023. This project anticipates receiving all building permits by September 2022. Their financing commitments all remain in place for their financing structure. Their general contractor has provided pricing for the current requested construction window based on this extension. Their financial closing, they are targeting November 2022 for financial close, and they are targeting construction to begin December 2022. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends extending the bond issuance deadline to June 30th. The developer is available in our meeting right now via virtually for questions if there are any.
All right, thanks. Any questions from the board? Gary?
I do. So this being the third request, I went back and looked at the two prior request letters from the developer. The original letter that was dated September 3rd, 2020 projected getting building permits by April of 2021. And the second letter that I reviewed of May 21st, 2021 projected getting building permits by December of 2021. And then the current letter that's in this for action is projecting building permits September of 2022. In the letter, it makes reference to plan approval being nearly complete pending a 106 consultation and affordable housing agreement. And I guess my first question is, are those tasks complete?
Is anybody from Quebec, Ohio available to comment on that, please?
I'm sorry, I'm on. Hello, thank you for, yeah, one of the things that's occurred on this site, just to take a step back a little bit, is that I think the best way to describe this site is it did get kind of caught up in what I'll say is kind of the backwash of a number of, it was a kind of a cornucopia of things. And what ultimately happened is that because there were a number of changes going on at the same time, even if we put COVID aside, the county itself was going through a number of changes. So they were instituting new systems through their planning process, which became more like of a sequential program than it was concurrent. So what occurred was instead of like dual tracking, which we've kind of done before, we had to go through this single process. We have submitted our 106 letter, so that's out of the way, and we have submitted our workforce housing agreement, which were 2 threshold items to pass from planning to any of the building permit side. So now we're just going through building permits.
So Doug, just a follow-up question. Have the building permit applications been submitted? And secondly, you're estimating approval by September 2022. What are you basing that estimate on?
Well, discussions with them, actually. I mean, when we did submit, we have received some relief where it is in their what they call their new Epic system. So they've been aware of it and they've done some pre-review. So they've allowed us to kind of go through that as we finished up these last 2 pieces for planning. So we've been working with the county on that. I mean, it's in Hilo, they're very supportive, but it's just, it's just, I think I think in another environment, it probably wouldn't be as problematic, I should say. But because of everything happening at one time, I think that led to the difficulty on this particular one.
Okay. I have one other question. I know the recommendation is to extend the timeline for a year. But based on your letter, you're indicating building permits in September, financial closing in November, and a construction start date in December. So I guess my question is why the request for a 1-year extension if this project's going to be underway in 6 months or less?
I think that's a good question, and it's not that I don't think we can make our existing timeline, but because we've been back here a few times, especially like I said with this environment, I did ask for the additional time. I don't believe we'll need it, but I know this isn't an easy process for you, but it's not easy for me either. So to be honest with you, I just tried to be a little bit more conservative. That's the truth.
Well, I think, just as I look at it, Doug, I would love to see this project get its building permits issued and get its turning dirt to start construction. It's a good project, but this is a 3rd request. And I know COVID has impacted all of us, but in terms of pre-development, it's maybe not as impactful as finding labor to construct. And it just seems like this one's taking an inordinate amount of time to get across that milestone of building permits.
I can speak to that. I don't disagree with you. So this one, even of the ones that we've done, it hasn't taken this long. This particular project, because we were able to kind of beat the clock, we had other allocations in 2019, but we were kind of able to beat the clock where we kind of got in and going before the significant downturn. This one couldn't beat the clock. So that's why I was kind of indicating it was kind of caught in the backwash. And so I do believe it's been the longest one we've ever had in terms of trying to kind of get it through the process. This one also was, and I don't want to get into some of the details because I know you've probably heard some of this before, but this was also in land court. And land court was a completely different animal where we were going through the previous owner was going through a consolidation. But when you're in land court, we had to pull it out of land court to do that. By the time we got it out of land court, we were deep into 2020, and then we had the COVID issues. So it was kind of like the timing on this one particularly was really bad. And that particular island was going through their own changes. So like I said, I think it's a combination. I don't like this either. I'd like to do Hilo. And we've certainly, we're financially behind the curveball, and because we've certainly had to pay the difference to get to this kind of point. We don't own the land here. So I'm hoping you'll see clear to at least give us one more shot. Yeah.
Right, thanks. One more. Could you just state your name for the record, please?
Douglas Bigley, Bigley.
Anyone else have any questions? Nope. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, thanks. Motion carries.
Thank you.
I know, I think it's so long.
I don't think I've heard.
Okay, okay. All right, so moving on to item 3I. This is to approve an extension to the rental housing revolving fund project letter of intent for the Kai Ulu O Kapilani project located in Hilo, Hawaii, TMK 324-025-048-053 and 080. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Thanks, Mal. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ron. Is there any discussion for this one? Oh, wait. Is there any public testimony? All right, hearing none. Is there any?
Yes, so this is in conjunction with the same project we discussed on the previous action. I do want to note that the requested amount of RHRF has not changed. This is an extension just to the deadline, same deadline of June 30th, 2023 that was requested for the economic law.
All right, any questions? If not, all in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Can we take a short break before we head into item J? Can I get? Need motion break? No, need that? Okay. 5 minutes? 5 minutes?
Executive order, right?
11:40. We'll get back in 11:40.
Also, can you help educate me too on?
David.
All right, everybody, let's go. Thank you for that break. We'll come this back in session. But before we go to the next item, I just have to make an announcement that we have a correction on a previous for action. I believe it was item 3E, one of the exhibits.
Right. So I just, additional corrections to the exhibit F. It doesn't change the nature of the approval. I just want to make sure that everyone and that the board secretary has the correct dates. So we're looking at exhibit F of the for action item E. The first line under the title, it should say recommendations to allocate 2022 by 10, not 2021. I mentioned earlier the change in section 11 to reference the year 2022.
July 29.
July 29th.
Day of the week.
Oh, yeah, I don't. Yes, let's change that to July 29th, 2022, because 30th falls on a Saturday. 12 is a new correction of the 10% expenditure requirement needs to be as of June 30, 2023. Number 12 should read June 30, 2023, the 10% expenditure requirement. And then the fourth change, which I already mentioned earlier, is February 17, 2022, was the date of the QAP application. Right? Correct, staff?
Yes.
So 4 changes. Any questions?
February 16 or February 17? 2022.
I don't know. Staff would check the date of the
16th. Apologize. February 16th, 2022. November 13th.
sorry, so correction to the correction.
Okay.
Does the board secretary have any questions for your minutes? You good or your notes? Your record. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 3J. This is to approve an extension to the rental housing revolving fund project letter of intent for HPHA School Street redevelopment phase 1A, project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 116009003, portion of pursuant to legislative appropriation under Act 88, session laws of Hawaii 2021. Can I get a motion, please? Thanks, Mel. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Gary. Is there any public testimony for this item?
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Go ahead. You have your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Chairperson Mende, HHFDC board members, the executive director Matsubara, and the entire HHFDC staff, aloha. I am Stuart Hartman, president and CEO of Retirement Housing Foundation. Thank you for this opportunity to address you today and for consideration on our request for an extension of time on the HPHA School Street project. I would like to provide a brief history about RHF for those of you who may not be familiar with us and our experience as a developer and operator of affordable housing. RHF was founded in 1961. We are a faith-based, mission-driven nonprofit organization based out of Long Beach, California. We provide housing to more than 22,000 people in 198 communities located in 29 states, Puerto Rico, St. Croix, and the District of Columbia. We are the development partner working with the HPHA to develop the School Street site to ultimately create 800 units of affordable senior housing in 3 phases. The first phase is to be 250 units and is the subject of our extension of time request. RHF has been the owner and operator of 2 affordable senior housing communities in Honolulu for more than 30 years. One of them is Pauai Kupunahali in Chinatown. It is currently being renovated to continue to serve our elderly residents. The recent financing on this community was obtained in part with the assistance of HHFDC. Over the years, RHF has been fortunate to have Hawaii residents serve on our National Board of Directors. Reverend Dr. Terry Kawada, Reverend Dr. Norma DeSager, both UCC ministers, pastored local churches in Hawaii. Additionally, Frank Jarling served on the RHF board until his retirement 2 years ago. Currently, Andrew Bunn with the Hawaii United Church of Christ Conference serves on our board of directors. Now, RHF is committed, along with our development partner, HPHA, and its executive director, Hakeem Owensafi, to move this project forward. For information purposes, RHF has already expended $3.5 million of its own resources in the development of the School Street project. Those funds are in addition to the nearly $2.5 million expended by the HPHA. I mention this to demonstrate our commitment to move the project forward. We greatly appreciate the time you are giving us today and appreciate your consideration on our request for an extension of time to preserve the $40 million earmarked for the School Street Elderly Housing Project. I and my colleagues look forward to answering your questions. Mahalo.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hartman. I guess before any questions for the board, we have, is there any other public testimony? Right, okay, so if not, we have a couple of questions to the board actually before we move on.
Corrections, right. So on page 205, where it says the legislative deadline of Act 88 session laws, it's not August 1, it's August 31, 2022. And the last change is under the recommendation on the very last page, page 505. Under the recommendation under A, the reference letter of intent, the LOI is dated November 2, 2021. So that is the letter that's being asked to be extended. It's not the January 18th date is incorrect. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We will make those corrections. Is there any questions from any of the board members?
Yes, Chair. You know, part of the item B is a what's it proviso? It's August, that's the ended prior to August 31, 2022. For that one and for the one above it, I would suggest recommend that we do it extension for 1 year to August 31, 2023. So they don't have to revolve as well as the commencement of construction to August for 1 year. It requires the approval of the board and the governor.
Oh, okay.
And you know, I don't think this governor would have a problem extending it for a year. But then, you know, it gives the next governor an opportunity to weigh in next year.
Oh.
In 1 year.
So, remember, Harai, I think staff is prepared to make that recommendation. It was just an omission that they were going to recommend a 1 year extension on both. Is it? Am I correct?
Yes, okay.
So he'll read it into the record when he gives his recommendation. Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you. Yeah, this project was originally awarded October 14, 2021. Our legislature approved a $40 million RHRF infusion specifically for this project. The development team, RHF, has been working directly with the city and county DPP on obtaining subdivision approvals and permits. And again, the development team, based on these discussions with DPP, has said they can commence construction by August 31st, 2023. So again, our staff recommendation is to extend the letter of intent for the HPHA School Street redevelopment phase 1 for RHRF, extended to only on August 31st, 2023. And then any further extensions or requests for extension will need to be approved by the board of directors and, as Director Dewar mentioned, and the governor per the proviso. Developer is on the phone available for questions right now, if there are any questions. Yes, for A and B, my apologies. Yes, for A and B would be extended. The date for deadline would be August 31st, 2023.
All right, any questions, any other questions or comments from the board? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to item number 3K. This is to approve an increase in the dwelling unit revolving fund pre-development and interim loan for the project known as Kai'olu'o Kukuya Apartments, Village of Leali'i, located in Lahaina, Maui, TMK 245021003 portion of. This is to provide a grant for use for construction on Fleming Road. Is there any public testimony on this item? No. All right.
Thank you again. This again is related to the project known as Kai'olu'o Kukuya Apartments on Island Maui and Lahaina. This project originally was approved for a $5 million dwelling unit revolving fund award for pre-development per the terms of the RFP dated June 14th. There was a first amendment to the loan agreement for this DERF loan that was executed on May 6, 2022. It states the developer is required by the County of Maui to use best efforts to build an extension of the access road as a secondary access to the project. This first amendment states that upon receipt of the requisite entitlements from the County of Maui, that HHFDC would grant no more than $2.5 million as costs are incurred to build this extension of the Fleming Road. Currently, the project has drawn a total of a little over $4 million from the original $5 million DERF loan. This $2.5 million increase request represents an increase from the original approved DERF amount for the specific purposes of this extension. All other items in the financing structure do remain the same. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends the increase to the DERF loan for completion of the Fleming Road extension.
I'm sorry, before any comment, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
When that
Get a second?
job,
Can I get a second? Okay, Mike did, okay. Okay, thank you. Any discussion? This is for the road race.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
I have a question. Based on the amount of the request, do you know, has the work been competitively bid so that we know that's a sufficient amount to cover building the road extension?
Developers available. Doug, are you available to comment if the work for the road has been bid? So
Yeah. I'm a little, I didn't want to show my face again, but sure. Could that be my day? Yes, that road has been bid. Yep, competitive.
Awesome. Any other?
Staff just want to make certain that staff is in agreement that this action is subject to approval of release of their funds by the governor.
Oh, yes. So yes, this is subject to approval and release of funds by the governor that will be drafted. That's the following approval.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. If that's all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so we had deferred item 3C early on, so we're going to go back to item 3C. And this is to approve the following actions related to request for proposals number 22-005-REC, Kulia Ika Nu'u Mixed Use Rental Housing Project Restructuring and Preservation. 1, award to Catholic Charities Hawaii as successful offerer, and 2, authorize the executive director to negotiate and execute a purchase and sale agreement, ground lease, regulatory agreement, and other related transaction documents with successful offerer, and to undertake any actions related to. Is there any public testimony on this item? None. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thanks, Val.
Second.
Thanks.
This time I'm ready.
Right.
Kulia is a project that we own in Waianae, 72 units, studios and 2 bedroom. There's a dormitory building that is currently used for storage. Two-story resource center, so basically a commercial building and a vacant 1.27 acre parcel. This is a project that we took back from the original developer several years ago. Constructed it at a cost of over $16 million, most of which was state money. This is the last project in our owned and operated rental housing portfolio to be offered for sale. So once we sell Nayafuna and on Big Island under contract, should close by September. This is going to be it, and we'll be out of that business. Hired CBRE in October to help us with the marketing of the asset for sale, and issued a request for proposals in February. Offering it for a 75-year lease at our new standard $10,000 per year annual lease rent, which does inflate annually. And 100% of the project will be set aside for households who are earning up to 60% AMI, which is how we currently operate it. We received 3 proposals. 2 of those parties were invited to submit best and final offers. And based on the evaluation criteria in the RFP, staff recommended to the executive director that Catholic Charities Hawaii be selected as a successful offerer, and we're seeking approval of that today. I don't think I need to go into kind of who Catholic Charities is. I can let, I see Rob House is on, he can do that in a little bit. The details on the offer, $2.1 million in cash, 60-day due diligence period, which can be extended, and a 30-day close. Those deposit amounts are pretty standard in the market. We've identified about $600,000 of capital improvements that are needed early on. And the vacant parcel they plan to develop with 36 additional 2-bedroom units. There's a aerial photo attached to exhibit D, shows you where they would go in relation to the other buildings. While they're doing the due diligence on that, they would install a tot lot and a fitness trail. And as part of the RFP requirement, they need to offer what we call education and counseling services to the tenants. And again, I think Rob's best informed to speak about that. So I think I might, okay, turn it over to Catholic Charities just to talk a little bit about who they are and what attracted them to the property and their plans for it.
All right, thank you, Scott and Chair Mendy, members of the board. We are very excited and honored to have our offer initially accepted, and we do quite a bit of work as Catholic Charities out there in the Waianae area, out there on the west side. We've been operating out there for several decades now. We're very excited to be having a permanent location in a space, being able to not only serve the 72 households that are there in the units, but also be able to provide other services to the community out there, which, as we all know, is an area of great need. So we're very excited to do that. For 75 years, Catholic Charities has been serving the state of Hawaii, and actually long before that too, through the Sisters and Brothers of the Marianal Order. This opportunity came along, we got very excited about it and decided that it was something we were going to make our best offer on. But we, are still needing to do our due diligence and complete that. So we look forward to being able to do that. We have partnered with Avalon Development as they're very interested in that vacant parcel, and they would be assisting us through the due diligence process as well. So The services that we provide there would be similar to what we do with other families that we work with out in that area, connecting them into not only healthcare, mental health services, case management, educational services. One of the spaces has already been built out for preschool. We've been in conversations with the foundation that would be able to provide that at really no charge to any of the folks that would be going there. So it's very, very exciting opportunity there. We've been talking to some local businesses and others, as well as operating a training facility there in that dormitory area. So there's a lot of opportunity here for us to not only serve the 72 families that are currently living there, but extend out into the broader community on the west side, some of the other services that we provide. And with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Rob. Anybody have any questions?
Director Cooper, I just want to comment that this has come full circle because the original developer was Hawaii Coalition of Christian Churches. So we go back.
Awesome.
All right. They'll do a much better job than we have done and bring much more resources to it. So it's good news.
All right.
So the recommendation of staff is that the board approve the following actions relating to the request for proposals. One is the award to Cafeterias Hawaii as successful offerer. And the second is to authorize the executive director to negotiate and execute the purchase and sale agreement, ground lease, regulatory agreement, and other related transaction documents with successful offerer, and to undertake any actions related thereto.
Right. If there's no other questions, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. So Denise, do you have anything? Let's move to item 4.
Given this has been a very long board meeting, and I don't want to compete with everybody's appetite, you have my report. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. I want to again thank Mel so much for all that you've done for me, personally, for the board. We're going to miss you, but this is not goodbye because I know we'll be in touch.
Nice number.
Don't change your cell number.
No, and you know what?
You're going to be serving on a new commission.
Oh, Mike, thanks for your help. But you know, thank you guys so much for being patient with me. You know, I came on you without having very little planning experience, but it's interesting. Thank Essa, Sandy, Don, and of course Mike. Craig, I started off with Craig and ended up with Denise, but Chris, I mean, are we on the record still? Chris, I think you did a great job out there, Chris, but I want to thank everybody. I think it's at the end. I'll still be around. I'm moving over to the Land Use Commission in 2 weeks. So thank you guys all.
Oh, I'm gonna miss you. Thank you for everything. All right, on that note, can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh,
I think Mel should make the last motion.
oh yeah, sure.
That's my last, well, just why not be my last?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Thank you, Gary. Oh, you don't want?
I second.
All right, thank you.
Sean.
All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
It's good. Going to the news number.
009. Not bad.
Thanks.